So what else is there that your site might have that phpBB.com doesn't have, that a clan forum might not have, maybe not even related to your forum itself, but to the site in general? What could cause a problem? If it does cause a problem, how are you planning on handling it? So whatever else applies. So the moderator team on phpBB.com, we actually have a 24-page guide internally that covers a ton of situations. We have an internal forum that if it isn't covered, we can post and ask each other, you know, how do you think that we should handle this? Make sure that we're all on the same page. We handle the rules fairly, which is one of the most important things as a leading a community, and be consistent. So your turn. I have your turn now. What did I miss? Okay, what really has worked for your boards in terms of building them, attracting users, managing the community, keeping content, and expanding your site that I didn't discuss here? Douglas. Yeah. Yuri's going to run around with the microphone for me.
Actually, whoever is next is just going to bring it over to
Okay. Fine. I tried.
I've always been a fan of what's been called the holy trinity of topics not to discuss on a forum: politics, religion, and web browsers. Don't get people started in a competition of which web browser is better. Sorry. No, I take it back. I change browsers every 2 months. But another thing I would note is I read a thing that said, the First Amendment doesn't apply on your forum. So if there is someone who claims that they have freedom of speech, or your rules are infringing upon that, if you have very clear rules set, then when they register on your board, they are agreeing to abide by those rules. So there is no such thing as the First Amendment if you're on a forum.
Well, yeah, and that's mainly pertaining to users within the U.S., and I think Josh is next. But know the local laws for where you are. I know Germany has some specific privacy laws that I just heard about maybe a month ago. I don't know them exactly, but if I were a board owner in Germany or a website owner in Germany, I really should know that. We in the U.S. have the COPA law. Now I don't know what COPA stands for, but it's for Children Online Predator Protection Act, something. Thank you. But the idea is you need to know, how does that affect you, and how do you need to handle that law if people come after you for it? So, John?
I would just like to say about advertising. I have done both on Google and Yahoo and on Facebook. Mm-hmm. And what I thought was interesting was that once the campaigns ended, the forum activity dropped off to almost nothing. Mm-hmm. So in some cases, advertising needs to be constant. Mm-hmm. In fact, probably in all cases, you can't stop until your forum gets a number of users who are coming every day or every few days to try and contribute.
Well, and I think that the main reason for that is you can't only advertise and expect your forum to be successful. You need to have content and a reason for people to be coming back. As you said, if it suddenly drops off, all these people, they might find your forum via Facebook, Google, Yahoo, etc. But if they have no reason to come back, it'll just die off, like you said. Give people a reason to come back, and your forum and site and community will survive and flourish. But if you don't have that, then you've lost. Anybody else? It's going to be a really short discussion if nobody else speaks up. Yeah. Let's get the...
I said depth charges. That's what you do to sharks with freaking lasers on their head.
Or mirrors. You could mirrors too.
They work.
You briefly mentioned on, you started to on over moderating, and why not to do that? I think that really deserves. I see that quite often on boards that I visit. I think you should really stress the fact that just because something is not necessarily going the way you would envision it to go, that's not necessarily a bad thing. And well, I will let you continue there.
Yeah, absolutely correct. We've had a few topics on .com that we've allowed that maybe strictly aren't within the rules. Like, for example, the wallpaper topic. It doesn't generate a lot of discussion, but it's something fun, people enjoy, and does it harm anything? No, but it can kind of bring a sense of fun to a community that, when you're answering support questions, can maybe be a little bit frustrating. Okay, you are the law, but you shouldn't be the dictator of the forum. People shouldn't be asking for permission to do stuff. They should be kind of giving content, and you should be guiding that content towards a vision that hopefully you have. If it goes towards something else, maybe you can realize what that something else is and guide it towards that better community, even if it's not really what you think your site deserves. I mean, Star Trek Guide, that is run by David and Francis Lewis, and I think a few other people help run it. I don't know exactly. But that initially started as a site about Star Trek. Right now, it is a it's a relatively big phpBB site. I know a lot of people here are members. Maybe don't visit all that often, but it obviously started out as a Star Trek site, and now it's phpBB site mainly. So think about, it's all right if your content doesn't go the way that you plan, so long as it's growing in a healthy way and is sustainable and gives people a reason to come back, and it's something you're interested in. Anybody else? I don't bite. Hard. Yes, definitely.
So here I am, traveling again. Isn't this all just?
No, you're done.
Isn't this all just common sense?
It's you'd hope so, but sadly not. I mean, I've moderated. I haven't only moderated phpBB.com. I've moderated a few other communities. phpBB.com is the only current one. But unfortunately, this isn't common sense. You see way too many people in the forums that are asking, hey, I want to build a site with 2,000 forums. Can I copy the rules? You go to a site. There's one recently we went to that I visited. It's supposed to be a support forum of some kind. Someone asks a question, and the support team leader comes and said, no, you're an idiot. Be quiet. That's not how you're going to build a community. And sadly, there are people that they have a site, but they have no clue how to build a community. They're just, oh, I think it's really cool to have my name out there on a website and be able to do whatever I want. If you're doing whatever you want, it might be fun and all for you, but nobody else will find it fun.
Yeah. So to add on to that, I think there's there are people who will start a site just so that they could be the dictator. So you're going to see that quite often when you have, especially school boards or things like that. You're going to see one person out of 10 start a site so he can boss around his friends, and that's, I think, kind of a universal thing. So.
And I think that part of building a site is building a really good team to run it. One of the advantages we have on phpBB.com is that we have a team from all over the world. We have people that can be on pretty much at every time of day, and they all are they all really care about phpBB and really want the project to succeed. And if you have a team, okay, a little bit of a tangent. Too often I see people go online and they're searching, hey, I need an admin for my forum. If you're looking for an admin outside of your community, you're doing it wrong. It makes sense if you need someone to help design a site that you might pay someone or hire someone to build your design, make the website look pretty. But if it's not someone that really cares about your community, sure, they can lock topics and stuff, but why would they come back to a site? I mean, they have power. That's the only reason they have to come back to your community. And sadly, that's not going to grow your site. It's just going to, when people realize this person doesn't really care, they'll disregard them. And you'll lose the first admins that you get to volunteer at other forums are the ones that you're first going to lose when your site starts losing members. Anything more? Yeah.
I would like to point out another common mistake is to go. I mean, something I see a lot is people start shopping for mods and installing everything there is essentially on their board right at first. So it has 5 members but 55 mods or something like that.
I'm guilty.
Oh, I did remove those slides. I meant to add them back in. Yeah, you should really, when you're building your site, think about what your community wants, what your community needs, and what can help your community grow. Because if you, as you gave an example, if you install 55 mods, that's really cool. The 5 people on your forum can chat, and they can play games, and they can amass credits that they can spend on games, and they can play in this RPG and buy titles and change the color of their font and the font itself to Comic Sans. Oh. Who cares? If I'm going to a site and I see flashing images and too many mods, I'll definitely get confused. I guarantee it will be slower than hell. I'm running on reserve battery power. And if your site is too confusing with so many different things that you think are cool, but no one in your community wants, needs, or distracts from the purpose of your board, it doesn't work. Your site will fall apart.
Actually, what I wanted to say connects to what Henry said, and that what I, as a support team member, often encounter as that the administrator or the founder of the board doesn't have sufficient technical abilities to actually build it. And one of the things that happens is that he uses a pre-modded board, has 150 mods on there. It actually doesn't even work properly, but he substitutes his lack of ability to actually build the site himself, because the default vanilla phpBB install doesn't usually work well to build a community. Often some customization or making it special is the thing that will actually make people remember it and actually return to it. Because if you encounter something that looks special and looks different than the other boards, it's one of the things that actually makes you come back. So if there's one thing to consider when actually founding a board, is to have someone that can actually take care of the board technically. Even if we're installing a simple mod, but you'll encounter sooner or later some occasions where you really need someone who understands how to manage the board from this aspect.
Yeah, from my rant about installing every mod under the sun, when Henry was talking about, not to say that mods are unnecessary. There are plenty of good ones, but make sure you have what you need for your community. And as you said, customizations make people come back. Content makes people come back. But too much of irrelevant content will drive people away. And I think that we both agree on that. That if you make it special, make it a reason that somebody will remember it, say, hey, there are 20 Xbox forums that I've seen, but this is the one I keep going back to. It can be the people, it can be this one killer feature that this forum has that nobody else has. But if it's too much stuff, it'll drive people away. If it's nothing, people will say, oh, I've seen that before. So it's really hard to find that right mix.